Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here today and welcome to this month's meeting of the Military Family Community Network. Whether you're a longtime participant or joining us for the first time, we're so glad to have you here. This space was created with purpose and heart to bring together military and civilian service providers in support of one unified mission to serve those who serve us. The Military Family Community Network is more than just a meeting. It's a collaborative hub where partnerships are built, solutions are shared, and awareness is raised about the unique challenges faced by our military members, veterans, and their families. And together, we strive to uncover and share the local, state, and federal resources that can make a difference right here in Vermont. Today, our focus is on something critically important: comprehensive support systems. In the military context, this refers to a structured, interconnected network of services and programs designed to uplift and support the entire military community. This means everything from mental health services, financial stability programs, housing solutions, career development opportunities, and a strong family support systems. These aren't just check boxes. They're the pillars that hold up the well-being, readiness, and resilience of those who wear the uniform, have worn it, or love someone who has. We have a powerful and diverse lineup of guest speakers today, each addressing a vital component of this support system. First, we'll hear about food security, an issue that touches many families across the state, including those in our military community. Reliable access to nutritious food is foundational to health, stability, and peace of mind. Next, we'll dive into the Rapid Response Mobile Home Infill program. This program is part of Vermont's broader, comprehensive response to the housing affordability crisis, one made worse by recent flooding across our region. We'll also hear from a representative of a program that provides drug and alcohol rehabilitation services available right here in Vermont. Addiction does not discriminate, and ensuring access to quality treatment options is essential to a truly comprehensive support system. And finally, we'll hear from the Vermont National Guard Family Programs Office. As many of you are aware, the future remains uncertain as we continue to advocate for funding to support 5 critical contracts that directly impact the services we offer to our veterans and their families across the state. These positions are not just numbers in a budget. They represent the people on the front lines of support for our military community. So today, we invite you to listen, engage, ask questions, and most importantly, keep thinking about how we can work together to strengthen this network of care, resource sharing, and hope. Thank you for being a part of this community and for everything you do to support Vermont service members, veterans, and families. Let's get started.
A person, for instance, this quote reads from a person that says, I buy almost exclusively store brands now and used to buy brands I like instead. Also, I buy the cheapest meats and don't buy a lot of fresh produce. We don't eat a lot of what we like, and mostly what we can afford is processed. So this shows a little bit more of an intimacy experiences or more of a personal sharing rather than the numbers. And that's why I like to stop and take a moment to think a little bit deeper here. Hunger is something that really anybody can experience at any time of their lives. This quote, I mean, right now I don't have this experience, and I feel like I am food secure, but there were times in my life in which I could have written this quote to myself. I could think of my mother when I was young saying this quote as a single mom with 4 children in a Latin American country. So that's why I sometimes like to use the word. I like to say that we experience hunger and the resources are for we and for all of us, because really hunger is something that anybody can experience at any time of their lives. And it could be something that if we are lucky enough to never have this experience, perhaps it could be our neighbor, perhaps it could be our aging parents, it could be our kids in college, it could really be anyone. So it is something that touches all of us at some point in our lives, or someone that we love. So next one, please. So these reflections brings me to the work we do at Hunger Free Vermont. Next slide, please. So based on this idea that we all, at some point or another, might have met hunger or food insecurity in a close distance, Hunger Free Vermont works to end hunger for everyone. And we try to prioritize the people most affected by hunger, and in order to make permanent systemic change. And that means we just don't bring resources to communities, we also advocate to make changes so that people can feel more food secure. Our vision is a vibrant community-centered future in Vermont where everyone has the food that we want and need at all times. And next one, please. So here, a little bit more about what we do at Hunger Free Vermont specifically. We do technical assistance to service providers. We also do outreach to communities to raise awareness about hunger and increase access to programs. We advocate with decision makers to ensure existing programs better serve Vermonters. And we do community education and engagement to raise awareness about hunger and take collective actions to end it. Next one, please. We do this not alone. We are about 20 folks working at Hunger Free Vermont right now, but we have an extensive network of food security partners working across the state. We support 10 regional food security networks, and these are local groups that work with organizations and with volunteers and stay updated in issues around hunger. Each food security networks collaborate to share information, raise awareness, brainstorm solutions, and build partnerships. And each food security network is co-chaired by 2 local leaders and facilitated by us at Hunger Free Vermont. So I wanted to make an emphasis in this slide because I've heard that all of you come from different places in Vermont. So one step that you could take after this presentation is to reach out to us, and we can put you in touch with the representatives of your different areas, the different food security networks. And also we can sign you up for the listserv of each of these networks so that you get updates and stay informed about programs and about solutions to hunger in your area. Next one. So here I'll go a little bit over the different programs and resources to help us get food. And you may know some of these. I've heard that some of you are social workers and outreach workers bringing resources to families. So many of these programs may sound familiar, but I link websites to each of these programs so that you can find out more after this presentation if you're interested, or if you feel like this is what you can bring to some of the families that you serve. So WIC, the Women, Infant and Children program, is known with everybody's familiar. Everyone knows it with the short acronym of WIC, and it's a program for pregnant people or folks that are carrying a child up to 5 years old. The program gives money benefits to buy certain foods, and also they do education and referrals. Then we also have Meals on Wheels. These are national programs, by the way, supported by national funds. This program has volunteers delivering cooked meals at home for people that are older and folks that are living with disabilities. And the Commodity Supplemental Food Program provides a free box of a staple food like pasta or canned vegetables every month for people who are 60 and older. And next one, please. And then I'm going to spend a little bit more time talking about Three Squares Vermont because it's our main tool to increase food security for everyone in Vermont. So Three Squares Vermont provides money every month for people to purchase food. And everyone who qualifies is entitled to Three Squares Vermont. It's a federal nutrition program from the U.S. Department of Agriculture, and it's known nationally as the name of a SNAP. In 2009, I think, the USDA allowed states to choose a local name, and Vermont chose Three Squares Vermont, trying to represent the goal that everyone deserves 3 squares meals a day. And here in our state is administered by the Department of Children and Families Economic Service Division. They process the application and issue the benefits. Next one. So how does a person participate in Three Squares Vermont? So there are 2 doors. One is the eligibility door and the other is the enrollment door. So in order to get monthly benefits, you have to go through both. The first one, the eligibility, is determined by the household size, composition, and gross monthly incomes. And a Three Squares Vermont household is 1 or more people who live and purchase and prepare meals together. They don't have to necessarily be a family, and it could be 1 individual too. The enrollment is the part that decides what monthly benefits will be allotted, and is determined by the net income minus the expenses that that household has every month. Next one, please. So once the benefits are determined, the participant will receive an EBT card. The EBT card looks like a debit card and works as a debit card, and the benefits are automatically loaded on the 1st of every month for that person. And usually the benefits are approved for a period of 12 to 36 months, depending on the household circumstances. If you don't use your benefits 1 month, they will roll on to the next one. And there are special rules that apply for folks that are older than 65 and for people living with disabilities and receiving disability benefits. Next one, please. So with Three Squares Vermont, you can shop at more than 600 retailers in Vermont, including grocery and convenience stores, co-ops, and natural foods stores. And also you can go to farmers markets and to farm stands. Everywhere in the US where EBT is accepted, you can shop there. And there's a list of things that you can and you cannot buy that you can look at later when you revise the presentation that I wanted to leave with you, but there's perhaps not need to go over there, just to be concerned about time, and there are other things that I like to go over. But here you have a list of the things that a person can and cannot buy with Three Squares Vermont. Next one, please. There are other local food incentives programs, and these are to stretch Three Squares benefits, to access fresh and local food, to support food choice and sovereignty, and also to support our local economy and our growers and farmers, and also to build community. I'll tell you a little bit more about these incentives in the next slide, please. So Crop Cash is one of them. So if you participate in Three Squares Vermont, you can also participate in Crop Cash. There's no application needed. Simply, you go to a farmer's market to use your benefits And with these coupons, you can multiply your money. Basically, you go to the booth, the manager's booth in the farmer's market, and you exchange your 3 Squares Vermont benefits for coupons. And with the coupons, you can buy fresh fruits, vegetables, seeds, starters for your garden. And for every dollar that you use from your 3 Squares Vermont benefits, you'll get double in crop cash. So if you use 20 from your EBT card, you'll get 40 in coupons. So it's a way to stretch your budget. Next one, please. Another great program is the Farm Share program. And this program offers people a discount of a CSA share. A CSA share is a community-supported agriculture model in which a person subscribes to the farm, and every week they get a box of fresh vegetables. And this program and Crop Cash are both organized and supported and administered by NOFA Vermont, which is the Northeastern Organic Farming Association. And 3 Squares Vermont can be used to pay the monthly installments of the community-supported agriculture, the CSA share. So this is a great way to access local and fresh vegetables. Next one, please. There's also Farm to Family coupons. This program is administered by the Department of Children and Families, and also is income eligible. So most people, everyone that participates in WIC is eligible, but other people can be eligible too. You can learn more about it in the link there, but basically, once you are approved, you can get coupons to buy fresh produce at farmers markets. So this is on top of your other crop cash coupons. And I know it can be very confusing. So if you'd like to go over these programs, you can access the different links that I put in this different slides. Next one, please. There are other ways to access food in your community. There are free meals and free foods. These are different for each community and each town. And these type of foods are managed mostly by volunteers. And also the Vermont Food Bank has a network of pantries and food shelves across the state. Next one, please. I'll go over a little bit of the different resources that are in communities. So food shelves and food pantries, these are opened in limited hours and dates depending on towns. They usually require proof of residency to get foods, but all the foods there are free. They are usually shelf-stable food, but many also offer fresh produce and meats. And if you like to find out what is a food shelf near to your town or near to an area, you can find a link in the Vermont Food Bank so that you can, there's a map and you can look for your town and you'll find the closest food shelf or food pantry close to you. There are also something called meal sites, and these meal sites usually provide free meals at churches, community and senior centers. You can call 211 and find out in your area where there is a free meal site. There are also interpretation services if you call 211 to access these resources. And Burlington and some other areas too have free food maps or free food directories. And if you like to learn a little bit more about what's in your area, you could learn from the Food Security Network's listserv. They usually update these resources and send them out to all the members in those listservs. Next one, please. And to finish all the resources that are available out there, I'd like to finish with free food for children. These are programs that are very well known, and most people that you work with probably are familiar with. Vermont has passed recently, and thanks to a lot of the work that Hunger Free Vermont did for many, many years to advocate for universal school meals. And that means that every student in public schools and in some private schools too that participate in the program have access to free breakfast and lunch. Very similarly, and right now we're in the middle of the outreach season about summer meals because they are about to start. During the summer, when schools are off, there are locations across Vermont that operate summer meal sites. And these are for children and young people that are 18 years old and under. And for accessing this program, there's no registration, no paperwork, no ID required. The only thing that a kid or an adult representing a kid needs to do is show up and grab the meal or enjoy the meal in the place. So these locations could be swimming pools, libraries, schools, in different places in Vermont. There are different locations. And people can call 211 and request to find out more information about meal sites near them. There is a list in Hunger Free Vermont website with all the sites across Vermont, and that is being updated as we speak, because the Agency of Education that put together the list of summer meal sites is working on the list right now. And as the schools are about to end, some end this week, this Friday, and some ended last week or next week. Different schools end in different times. These summer meal sites that are in many occasions operated by schools will be released soon, and people kind of start enjoying them as soon as they open. And most of them operate through the summer. I think that's a little bit more about how to support and connect families. In the next slide, please. I'm sure that you've known all of this better than me because you're all very aware and very experienced in working with families and with people. So just a good thing to do to promote these programs is to be empathetic and always spread out positive message, have flyers and information and materials on hand, connecting with with other food access champions in your community and joining a food security networks is a good way to stay up to date with regional happenings. And you can always visit vermontfoodhealth.com to learn all about Food First Vermont. You can dial 211 at any time and text BFB SNAP to 85511, and as a service to assist you with application assistance for Three Squares Vermont. There's also email from the food bank. They have a team to help people apply to Three Squares Vermont, and always connecting families to local community action agencies are a good idea because they are very familiar with all these programs. So I think I'm reaching to the end. I think that's it. The next slide is just to say thank you, and if you have questions.
Thank you, Mariana. We do have some questions on the call, and then I'll open the floor for anybody. A lot of, as service providers, our clients are military connected, both currently serving military members, their families, and veterans that had previously served. And so on your slide, it does say that the community action agencies can help these individuals fill out forms, but somebody wanted to know, is there somebody on like Hunger Free Vermont staff available to sit down with individuals and talk about eligibility and help them fill out the forms?
No, Hunger Free Vermont does not provide direct service assistance. That would be the team, our close team. We work very close with the food bank, Three Squares Vermont team. So we can direct anyone with questions about application assistance to that team. We can provide technical assistance and training about the program, but the application would be the food bank.
The food bank.
Yes, or also community agencies or calling 211.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you. Another question we have is, on the application, is there an identifier for military connected individuals to check off?
I don't know the application, the application has several pages and I don't know all the parts by heart. But I can find out and follow up on that question. I'm pretty sure that there should be, but I don't know that for sure. But I'll find out if there's
Thank
a military identifier.
Right. Yes. The snap one. Okay. Okay, so just so everyone know, Andre Wang with the Vermont Veterans Outreach Program said they've recently received a SNAP training and it is not currently on the application. So maybe it's something for them to look into for the future. Okay, are there any other questions either online or on the floor? Yes, Miriam.
I just wanted to add to that. It'd be really simple because the governor's challenge to prevent suicide for service members and their families. All that really needs to be on the application is, have you ever served? And then you just leave it, because if you ask people, are you a veteran, or they'll say they think they're not, but they might be. So it's just easier if there's any way to put in, have you ever served in the military? That might help, because we've got over 34,000 veterans in Vermont. We have close to 3,000 Vermont Army and Air National Guard. We have Army Reserves. We have Navy Reserves. We have a Coast Guard detachment down in Burlington. So it's a big population in my mind. So it would be helpful for us to know if our clients and our demographic is having food insecurity issues.
Yes. Yes, I understand. That's a great question, and I'll make sure that I'll bring it to our teams to see if somebody knows a little bit more, and I can forward more information on that to you all.
Thank you. Yes.
Does Meals on Wheels require permanent residence?
Mariana, does Meals on Wheels require permanent residency?
No, I don't think so. I don't know all the requirements for each of these programs, because I do outreach and, just more the promotional higher level information, but I don't think a permanent residency is required. And also the program works for people who have a temporary disability. So it doesn't have to be someone with a permanent disability. So it could be, I think it could be someone that is temporarily located in a place and it has a temporary disability. I'll find out more on that too.
Okay.
Not Vermont residency, but like a homeless person staying in shelter.
Okay.
Well, Meals delivered to the shelter or camp.
Okay, thank you. So not just like residency itself, but we're thinking of like a homeless person. Will Meals on Wheels deliver to like a shelter that they're staying at?
If they are older, I mean, I think they would. I mean, again, I don't know if the specific of the programs, but I think they would if they have the eligibility. If they are 60 plus and they have a disability. So I would say, I would think so. I don't know. That's a great question. I'm gonna try to see if I can find out while I'm here in the call a little bit more.
Thank you. Tammy.
I just wanted to make sure this is going to be available to us, right?
So this slide deck will be sent with the minutes. Any other questions? Yes, Richard.
Mariana, on the part of the crop cash, you mentioned dollar for dollar. On the $20, is there a maximum amount that they can trade in per visit?
Yes, there is a maximum per week at the market. So people can go to the market and spend, I think it's a maximum of $20 per week.
Yeah, I would agree. Thank you.
Yeah.
Great, thank you. Any other questions on this one? All right, thank you, Mariana. I appreciate your time and great information.
You're welcome, it's my pleasure.
Okay. Our next presenter, I just want to make sure that he's on the call. Tyler Maas, are you on the call? Okay, so what I'm going to do is we will break early, and I'd like everyone to come back at 11:15. We will begin in 1 moment.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Welcome back, everybody. Brendan, are you on the call?
I am here.
All right, I'll have Danny put up your presentation.
Great,
And-
thank you so much.
No problem. And then when you want to go next slide, just say next slide, please.
Perfect.
And I'll leave you to introduce yourself.
Great, will do. Thanks so much for having me. Really grateful for the opportunity to share with you all. I was at a meeting a couple months ago in person and got to just share some brief info, but wanted to do a slightly more formal presentation here. So my name's Brendan McCormick. I work for Sauna at Stowe Treatment Facility. We are a primary substance use disorder and co-occurring facility that includes medical detox withdrawal management and then a 28-day residential treatment program down in Stowe, Vermont. And I'll get into more details as we go, and then happy to answer questions at the end here. So great, we can go next slide. So who is Sauna? So Sauna originally opened up under different ownership back in 2021. Its intention was to be a very small, intimate, private pay only, kind of 5-star resort style facility for substance use disorder. It was heavily influenced by a medical model and a wellness model. And then in 2023, that business model didn't work for them here in Vermont for a number of reasons. And in 2023, Integrative Life Network, which owns one other facility called Integrative Life Center down in Nashville, where they do two programs for men and women, each 12 beds each. And they work with not only substance use, but they do mental health, eating disorders, and intimacy disorders down there in Nashville. And I'm happy to provide more information for that. If anyone wants to follow up, I'll put my email in the chat. But today we'll focus on Sauna because we're here in Vermont. And so basically what they did is they brought in a new executive director and they pivoted away from private pay only to an insurance, an in-network insurance provider. So they brought in 2023 a new executive director. He brought in a new clinical director. And then our chief clinical officer is the same one for ILC down in Nashville. Her name is Carmen Dominguez. I'll talk about her a little bit later. She's a professor at Lesley University in Massachusetts. So when we pivoted, we increased our bed capacity from 22 beds to 32 beds. We still do a medical detox and then a 28-day residential treatment program. And we are licensed to treat substance use disorder and secondary mental health disorders and co-occurring disorders as well. Next slide, please. And that's a photo of one of the outsides of the building. So I'm just going to move my... Oh, okay. So our mission is to support and guide individuals with substance use disorder in their unique process of self-discovery and recovery using evidence-based practices blended together with impeccable service and compassionate care in a serene, private environment. So our goal isn't just to be a kind of rinse and repeat treatment facility where people come in and detox or maybe do 2 weeks and then go back out into the world thinking that they're better. We know that recovery is a lifelong endeavor, and we really look to support people as much as we can while they're with us. And then I'll talk a little bit more about what we do for aftercare as well. Next slide, please. So our values, so at Sana, we value an acronym called PEACE, and that's patient centricity, excellence, accountability, compassion, and empathy. And those values are really deeply ingrained in all of our staff there, whether they're a direct care staff, whether they're a nursing staff, a psych NP, our clinicians, our case manager, myself doing outreach, all the way up to our executive director. And we really pride ourselves in this patient centricity. We're a small enough facility where everyone's involved, including our executive director, who I'll talk a little bit about later. But he knows all of our clients on a first name basis and is actively involved there. So we really try to make it as safe a space for our patients. Next slide, please. Great. So here's some of the program highlights. So as I mentioned, we pivoted from private pay only to accepting all commercial insurances. We've, over the last 2 years, increased our in-network providers. We initially started out with Blue Cross Blue Shield, and then we got in network with First Health, and then Optum, and then MVP, and then most recently at the end of last year, Point 32, and then now TRICARE East. And, you know, because of our TRICARE East in-network capabilities, that's why we have a major interest in connecting with our military community and serving our military community as best we can. So as I mentioned, we do medically monitored detox and a residential treatment, and that includes withdrawal management programs, daily provider visits on site, 24/7 nursing care, integrated program and psychoeducation, our 28-day res treatment program, and this includes 6 hours of integrated clinical programming each day, as well as individual counseling. And then they're also meeting weekly with a case manager as well to create an aftercare plan. We do individual, family, and couples counseling sessions as well. And we have a family program that I'll talk about in a later slide. And our meals are amazing. We've had actually the same culinary leader for the last 4 years, and of anything, people come in and talk about how amazing the food is and the facility. And then we've really backed that with a really solid clinical programming that I'll talk a little bit later. And we do utilize MAT services and MAT education while our clients are in treatment as well. Next slide, please. So our admissions process is, we try to make it as simple, efficient, and quick as possible. It begins with a phone call to admissions, or you can actually do an initial inquiry on our website as well. We'll collect information about insurance so that we can run a verification of benefits if that's necessary right off the bat and get that moving. And then depending on the results of that, and or if they're looking to private pay, we can talk about financial options. So folks that don't happen to have insurance plans that are in network with us or are looking to private pay, we're pretty much always able to offer financial assistance for clients as well to get them in when we have beds. And then once we get that information, we'll schedule a pre-admission screener where we'll collect psychological, clinical, and medical information, medical history, and substance use background. And then that information will go to both our clinical and medical teams for review, and then they'll make sure it's a good fit for both parties. And if it is, we'll get them in as quick as possible. And if it's not a good fit for whatever reason, we will then refer that client out to better services or a better program that'll suit their needs. And part of my work is outreach, isn't just going out and letting people know who we are and promoting what we do, but it's also connecting with other organizations, other facilities, not only just in Vermont, but I travel throughout New England and actually go in person to visit these facilities to really feel good about where we're referring people out. So if they're not a good fit for us, we don't just dump them off. We make sure that we follow through and get them really solid referrals to other levels of care as necessary. But if they are a good fit for us, we'll bring them in for intake. And then throughout their process with us in the residential program, we'll stay in communication with the referent. Both myself, our case manager, and the client's individual counselor will do follow-ups as often as the referent would like, both during and after treatment as well. Next slide, please. So our treatment leadership team looks like this. Our executive director is Philip Henserling, as I mentioned. he has a background in insurance contracts as well, and so he's been the one that's been doing the really hard work to get us as many in-network contracts as possible. Our medical director is Dr. Jonathan Hastings. We have a PA on site, Mike Gaffney, an FMP on site, Perrette Lumumba, and an ANP on site, Rebecca Hill. And 7 days during the week, an APP is on site, which is great for us. As I mentioned, our chief clinical advisor is Carmen Dominguez. She is a professor at Lesley University in the Boston area. And then our clinical director is Max Crystal. Next slide. So we utilize trauma-informed care, and this is how we view trauma, just as kind of a general idea. It's a relational cultural model, meaning that it happens on both an individual and a social level. So we utilize a lot of our milieu, our group therapy, and our just general community and group organization. And we utilize this idea of power with, and not power against or power for or anything other than. What that means is we're not a disciplined model. You know, when something comes up, we don't shame or guilt or punish anyone. It's an open conversation. It's more of a, you know, an arm over the shoulder than an arm's length away with us. We have a really high staff to client ratio, so we're able to provide a lot of really individualized care. And if something comes up, you know, whether that's an error within our guidelines at the facility or a relapse, etc., we really work with the client to meet them where they're at and see how we can best serve them while they're in treatment with us. Next slide. So this is how we treat trauma. We utilize a lot of polyvagal theory. The intention for most of our clinical and medical programming is getting our clients safe and regulated in their central nervous system. So oftentimes individuals are utilizing substances to self-regulate and regulate their nervous system. The only problem is they're utilizing substances that are detrimental to themselves and others. And so we're looking at healing as restoring, and we're restoring safety, connection, and dignity within themselves. I'll talk a little bit more in detail about what our group programming and individual counseling looks like and how we do that. But we know that we have the ability to heal from trauma. And it's really about reclaiming your self-worth, your inherent self-worth, recovering through safety and connection with others. Next slide. So this is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It's really just like a structure. We put this slide up as more about information about how we meet clients where they're at. So you can kind of look at them as a tier on the way up to when they first enter into the facility versus when they leave us. About you know, our average length of stay is about 35 days. It's about 5 to 7 days of detox if needed, and then our 28-day residential program. So, you know, when an individual comes in, they're needing physiological needs, right? They're needing just like safety, shelter, really good nourishing food, water, a place to sleep. And, you know, part of that detox process is just getting them to feel safe and nourishing their well-being physiologically. And then we can move into, you know, safety needs. Once we have that safety, it's, you know, how has your employment been affected? How have your resources, your family, your health, finances, etc., been affected, and how can we move into, you know, a more positive space there? And then we can move into love and belonging, which is creating those friendships and those connections with their clinicians, the medical providers, and most importantly, the other clients in our facility. And then through that, you can regain your self-confidence and recognition. You can look towards achievement, and then eventually, you know, continue to move into self-actualization, because the goal isn't just for people to be to confront their substance use issues, but it's really to reclaim their self-inherent worth and live a life that they really love and enjoy so that they don't relapse. Next slide, please. So this is the breadth of our services. It's not a completely extensive list of everything we do, but it gives a general idea of what we do. I won't read through everything that we have here on this slide, but the general idea is, you know, we have 6 clinicians on site throughout the 7 days of the week. And each of them brings their own personality. You know, I'll go through a little bit of the structure of our day-to-day and our group programs in a couple of slides here. But the idea being that we're going to expose the clients to as many psychological modalities, somatic therapies, and holistic practices as we can to see what sticks for them. Every individual is different. Everyone's going to respond to something different. So while we have structure to our 4 groups a day, 7 days a week, we utilize as many different modalities as we can within that structure to see what lands for individuals. So, you know, we utilize traditional CBT, DBT. As I mentioned, we use a lot of polyvagal theory, understanding the sympathetic and parasympathetic systems. We utilize internal family systems as well. We'll use some somatic psychotherapy. We do experiential hikes, cold plunge groups, nature walks. We also have an acupuncturist that comes in a couple times a week, as well as a yoga instructor that comes in a few days a week. We utilize breath work, qigong. We use expressive art therapy, as well as we bring in 2 days a week. We bring in an AA group from outside in the community. And though we're not a 12-step based program, we do want to expose our clients to things like 12-step recovery groups. We expose them to smart recovery and recovery dharma. Those are all optional and encouraged for clients to utilize while they're in treatment. Again, just to expose them to as many things that might stick for them as possible and see what works for post treatment as well. All right, next slide. So we utilize a book called The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. And so if you think about our programming, we have a 28-day residential program. So that's basically 4 weeks. And we structure those we rotate those 4 weeks around the 4 agreements. So those 4 agreements are being impeccable with your word. And that just means speaking with integrity, saying only what you mean, avoid using speak against yourself or to gossip about others, use the power of your word in the direction of truth and love. Don't take anything personally. Nothing others do is because of you. What others say and do is a projection of their own reality. When you're immune to the opinions and actions of others, you won't be the victim to needless suffering. A lot of times our clients come in and have a lot of issues with learned helplessness, shame and guilt, and you know, taking a lot of things personally and then escaping through substances. So we're wanting to reclaim that inherent worth again. Not making assumptions is a big one. You know, finding the courage to ask questions and to express what you really want. Communication is oftentimes an issue for a lot of our clients that come in again. And so when communication is an issue, oftentimes you'll escape through substances to avoid any confrontations or issues with communication. And then always do your best. As I mentioned earlier, we're not a punitive program. We're not a punitive system. We want people to do their best, and we want to meet them where they're at and work with them, you know, not for them or against them. So we're working with our clients as well. Next slide, please. So these 4 aspects are related to our 4 groups throughout the day, which I'll go over our daily schedule in the next couple slides here. But usually in the mornings, our first group will have to do with safety, and it usually includes some sort of somatic therapy and processing. The idea to be, again, getting in your body. What's it like to be in my body without substances? How do I feel? What does that mean for me? How do I feel safe in my body so I don't feel the need to escape to substances? And then we'll move into a processing group. Okay, now that we're, you know, understanding what safety looks like and means to us, how do we process that? What does that look like? What does that mean for our lives? And then we'll move into an integration work. Okay, now that we know how our brain processes things and how we feel in our body, how do we integrate this understanding into our lives on a daily basis in a practical way? And then the last group is usually becoming. So it's like, now that we have all these understandings, what do I want to become? Who do I want to become? Who do I want to be? Who have I been escaping? What have I been avoiding? And how do I want my life to look? So I'll talk a little bit more about what the daily schedule looks like here shortly. Thanks. Next slide. So this is a day, kind of a general daily flow. This would be per se a Monday, and this is kind of the structure and flow of the day. So throughout the week, so as I mentioned, we have a theme of the week, which would be one of the 4 agreements for the 4 weeks that a client is with us. And then within that week, each day, there's a daily theme. So on Monday, it's foundational principles of the 12 steps. It looks like an introduction to that, seeing how people feel. Is that something they're interested in? Is it not? Tuesday, we'll move into polyvagal theory. Again, learning how to regulate our nervous system. How does the nervous system work? How does our body work? Why do we respond in ways that we do? We'll go into more in depth of those 4 agreements that I mentioned earlier. We talk about the impacts of trauma on the body, and we utilize internal family systems often. And these are just daily generalized themes that our clinicians will then, they'll look at their schedule for the week and they'll schedule their groups for the week around these generalized themes. So a typical day looks like breakfast at 8. We'll do our first group at 9. We'll take a break. We'll do our second group at 10:45-ish, and then we'll do lunch. We'll do our third group of the day, and then we get an hour break from 2:30 to 3:30, where usually most clients will go on interactive walk with one of our direct care staff. Our facility's right across the street from the Stowe recreation path, so there's a beautiful bike path running along a small river there, and clients will go out and just take an hour to get outside, move their bodies, connect with each other on kind of like a less therapeutic group level, and connect. And anyone that doesn't want to go on the walk or is physically or just kind of clinically unable to do that is welcome to utilize that as free time. We have a wellness studio, so they can go in the wellness studio and exercise. They can journal. They can do art therapy. They can just hang out and talk with each other. And then we'll move into the 4th group of the day, and then they'll have dinner, and then they'll have an hour of therapeutic studies and journal reflections, as well as tech time. So they get to use cell phones, computers, tablets for an hour in the evenings, post detox. So we utilize what we call a digital detox when someone first comes into the facility, which means for the first week that they're with us, outside of any like clinical, medical, or individual emergencies or necessities to stay in touch with a family member, things like that, where they can, they're always welcome to make phone calls with their clinician or the case manager. And then outside of that, they'll be on a digital detox for that first week. And then they can move into that hour of tech time in the evenings for the rest of their treatment stay. And then in the evenings, as I mentioned, we'll bring in a couple AA groups during the week. And it's really focused around peer support. So if we're not doing an AA group, we might do a screening of what recovery Dharma looks like or what smart recovery looks like. And then they'll also just do peer support meetings with the direct care staff in the evenings as well, just to connect around how did the day go? How's treatment going today? It's a good opportunity for clients to give feedback to our staff around what's going on both individually as a group, so we can keep the milieu feeling safe and connected. Next slide. So as I mentioned before, we've instituted a family program. So what we used to do is we would have family visiting hours on the weekend. So we would do 2 hours on a Saturday and 2 hours on a Sunday. And then while individuals are in treatment, they're welcome to stay connected with their families. Their families can either in person or virtually do group therapy sessions with the individual's counselor. But what we realized was there was a disconnect with the understanding and information and knowledge that the families had about what substance use is, what treatment looks like, and most importantly, what to do afterwards. And it was leading to a fair amount of what we call ASAs or AMAs, which is basically leaving against staff authorization or medical authorization. So people were just leaving treatment a little bit early, and then most often having to return to the facility, understanding that they made, a decision to leave too early, and they were being influenced pretty heavily by their family, just because they would hear from their client after, from their loved one after 2 weeks, and they'd say, hey, I'm feeling better, I'm ready to come home. And oftentimes the family didn't understand that treatment is a long process, and they'd say, cool, great, come home, we can't wait to see you back. So we did away with the family visiting hours on the weekends. Now those still can be scheduled as necessary, but what we did is we instituted a 1.5-day experiential program monthly. So each client, while they're in treatment, has an opportunity for their family to visit with us on site as a part of their treatment program. They'll get to eat with the clients, do clinical experiential groups with them, and then meet individually with counselors and the client to discuss what their treatment plan has been, what treatment looks like, and then really offer them enough education and support to feel good about what to do post-treatment. And they'll meet with the case manager to talk about what the aftercare plan is like, etc. And we've instituted this about 7 months ago, and we've seen a significant decrease in early leaves. We've seen longer stays, and we've seen a reduction in repeat clients as well. So it's been a great program. We get great feedback from the families and the clients, and that's been really successful so far. All right, next slide. So case management. So when I started at Sana a year and a half ago, I started out as the case manager there. I loved it. I was at the facility every day, meeting with 4 to 6 clients a day, meeting with them weekly. And basically what that looks like is we're creating a continued care plan with the client. And again, we're working with the client, not telling the client what they should or shouldn't do. Now, do we encourage what they could do? Absolutely. But what I learned through my case management experience was that if I were to create a plan for someone and then set them up for success, but they weren't on board, they're not going to do it. So it's kind of a waste of all of our time, and it wasn't successful for people post-treatment. So it's really talking to the client about, here are the options. What are you willing to do? A lot of our clients are working full-time, have families, have commitments, etc. So we're not going to set them up for an aftercare plan that they can't even attend. So we're really working with the client on a weekly basis, sometimes more often even. And we're making referrals to, things like a primary care provider if they don't have one, an individual therapist if they don't have one. We're very highly encouraging of step-down processes. It looks like PHP, which is partial hospitalization programs, intensive outpatient programs. So those are heavily involved outpatient programs that are great for when you're stepping down from a 24/7 facility. We're helping them with sober living if they need that. And then, as I mentioned, the therapy piece. We're also following up with our clients regularly post-discharge for a year after they've left us. So that's weekly calls for the first 6 weeks. And then at 3 months, 6 months, and a year, we're actually reaching out to the client, following up, checking in on how they're doing. Do they need more resources? Is, the program that we set up for them working? And making adjustments as needed and following up with them. And then we're always collaborating with professionals out in the community. Again, as I mentioned, part of my job is going out into the community, meeting medical providers, clinical providers, therapists, meeting with sober living facilities, making sure that they're on par with what we want our client to be engaged in, and continuing those relationships with professionals throughout the community. All right, next slide. So this is the final slide. So, connection is why we're here. I think there's a Gabor Mate quote that talks about how addiction is actually just the lack of connection. And so this is a Brene Brown quote about, connection being why we're here. We're hardwired to connect with others. It's what humans do. It's what gives us purpose, meaning in our lives. And without it, there's suffering. So a lot of our clients are coming in feeling disconnected. Not just from their community or from their loved ones, but oftentimes from themselves. And so a lot of our programming, again, as I mentioned, revolves around getting them back in their bodies, understanding who they are, what they want, what they're looking for, and really what's been getting in the way for them in that way, so that their recovery can be a lifelong journey, but also can be successful for them. So I believe that is the last slide. Happy to answer any questions either now, and then if anyone has questions come up at a later time, I will put my contact information in the chat, and you're welcome to reach out to me at any time as well.
Thank you, Brendan. Does anyone have any questions for Brendan?
Yes, Tammy.
How does someone get referred to the program?
Brendan, how does somebody get referred to the program?
So our referrals come from a few ways. We can have something, we get word of mouth, we get internet inquiries, we get referent inquiries. So part of my, the majority of my job is going out and creating relationships with hospitals, medical providers, the Turning Point centers, clinicians, lawyers, basically anyone in the community that has a touch point with someone that has substance use, which is pretty much all of us. I think all of us can probably take a moment and think about someone that we know who's either struggled or is struggling. And so I'm constantly out in the community. I'm showing up to presentations like this to promote our work, give information about what we do, and make those connections. So that's where we want the majority of our referrals to come from, is from referrals within Vermont and through the community. And then we're getting them from internet inquiries and things as well.
Thank you.
Covering for insurance purposes is what I mean also. If somebody gets referred, do they have, for insurance purposes, do they have to get referred by their primary care?
So Brendan, did you happen to hear that?
It was something about insurance. I think you're asking if they need like a direct referral from a provider.
Yes.
And the answer is no. Anyone can call us. So that can be a client inquiring, that can be a referent, which might be a primary care provider, it might be a therapist. It's oftentimes their family members, right? Like it's really challenging for clients to admit and then commit to the depth of their problem. So it's often the referrals happen to be coming from, say, a family member, a loved one, maybe a therapist. But oftentimes we'll just get inquiries from clients directly, and we don't need a referral outside of just anyone that wants to give us a call.
And then somebody on the team, like a case manager, would help them with the financial aspect of it and connecting with their insurance if it's covered?
Correct. Yeah. So our admissions team is awesome. They're super informed about everything that we do. They can speak to our program just as well as I do. So I always encourage anyone, even if they're like, I'm not sure if I want to do this, it's like, just give them a call. They're super friendly and welcoming. Again, if the client's not ready or they're looking for something else, we'll provide them information. But yeah, the idea being like they can just call. Admissions will run their verification of benefits right off the bat. And then regardless of those results, they'll talk about the financial piece with them. And I forgot to mention, I did mention that our admissions process is pretty efficient and a quick turnaround. I've seen people get into treatment within a couple hours of calling, and then some of the more complex cases might take a day or two if there's any like red flags around clinical or medical processes, and we need to, connect as a team. But we try to get people in as quick as possible.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
2 questions. Any thoughts on opening spots for Medicaid folks? Like we know folks.
Brendan, is there any thoughts on opening spots for Medicaid individuals?
Yeah, I think that could be a possibility in the future. I think that the challenge with us is that, again, when it was originally opened under the old ownership, they chose a nice, beautiful facility in a very expensive county, and the reimbursement rates for Medicaid are so low that we literally just wouldn't be able to be open at all with the current reimbursement rates for Medicaid. So we're dealing with that in a couple ways. One is we're continuing to try and increase our insurance contracts outside of state Medicaid currently. And then for folks that are on state Medicaid or need a private pay, we're offering really big discounts on private pay financially. We're also at the end of this year planning to initiate a scholarship program. And then there's talks about potentially, I've actually been going down to the legislator and pushing for higher reimbursement rates for Medicaid. I think everyone in the field could benefit from that, obviously. So we're hoping for that to happen, and then create a scholarship program. And then we've been in talks about possibly designating a bed or two on like an individual contract basis for Medicaid folks. There's just a lot of kind of challenges that come with that. It brings in different demographics, and then there's different financial pieces. And so we're just trying to tread lightly with that and serve as many people as we can, while also like not kind of crumbling away at the milieu that we have in the community that we have now. So yeah, great question. We're working on that in a few different ways for sure.
Great, thank you.
And then lastly, methadone, like what is their move?
Methadone. Oh yeah. So I could have mentioned that during our MAT information. So we work with all substances. We work with polysubstances. We do all MAT programming. The only thing that we don't work with in-house is methadone. So anyone that's on methadone, we would need to do a program taper prior to them coming into the facility. And then we would shift them over to a non-narcotic controlled substance formula that would work for them.
Good questions. Any other questions? All right, Brendan, thank you so much. This was a lot of great information. It's a valuable resource that we have available.
Great. Yeah. Thank you all. I'll put my contact information and you can reach out anytime. Thanks so much for the opportunity.
Thank you. All right, I will hand it over to Miss Miriam Boyle for our next presenter.
Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. So the road ahead right now, most of you probably know that we are in danger of losing 5 of our contracts. The Vermont Veterans Outreach Program, a media specialist, a family readiness and program manager, a mental health counselor, and a personal financial counselor. This program began, when you look at we're funded under what's known as the Beyond the Yellow Ribbon funding, which is a Senate appropriation supplemental funding. And this program actually started with the Vermont Veterans Outreach back in 2007. It was a team of 5, and their goal and their task was to go out and outreach with as many of the global war on terror veterans to make sure that they were getting the services that they needed. From there, today, it's a team of 17. They're embedded in the communities all throughout the state. They have anywhere from 150 to 200 different community partners that they work with. They work with veterans, combat veterans, and non-combat veterans. They work with families, they work with the VA. They're responsible for more than 7,000 enrollments in the VA from the time that the program started to today. Because of all of that success, we've been able to add the mental health counselor, the personal financial counselor, and media specialists. A lot of things start with finances. A lot of the issues that our service members, veterans, and their families experience start with financial. And then based on that, not being able to control that part of their life kind of leads to other issues, and mental health is one of them. What's great about those programs is they could go all over the state. They are not limited to the number of miles that they can go. They do not keep any records, and everything is confidential and free. I don't have to sell all the wonderful things that Marcy does for our program. She's taken it to a much higher level than I ever did in that position. And Jerem, media specialist. Vermont is, I know you guys have heard me say this before, Vermont is the most rural state in the country. And 80.9% of Vermonters live in rural areas. So the things that we've been able to do through our media outlets, through social media, has allowed us to really connect with our geographically dispersed families. So this has been going on, and in April, I started to notice I was not getting any feedback from OSD as far as when the funding would come in. And there are 24 states, including Vermont, that get this Beyond the Yellow Ribbon funding. So it's a national issue. So the Vermont Veterans Outreach Program sunsets in a couple of weeks if we don't get funding. Our family readiness and program manager, our mental health counselor, and our personal financial counselor sunset the end of July 28th. And then our media specialist is August 28th. This is catastrophic for family programs. The amount, I can't even put into words the impact that each one of these people has had on the program and to all of our Vermonters in the military communities. I would love to see a call to action to anyone who is on the phone here. Contact the congressional delegation, Representative Balint, Senator Welch, and Senator Bernie Sanders, because this program is such a huge part of what we do, and we couldn't do what we do without them. What will end up happening is the community partners that we work with are going to get inundated with issues. The congressional delegation is going to get congressional inquiries where veterans have issues. They log them with the congressional delegation. That's going to go through the roof, because a lot of times the congressional delegation will contact us, will contact the Vermont Veterans Outreach Team and say, can you help us with this? 9 times out of 10, it's taken care of within hours. So this is my plea to everyone out there to help us try and get some traction on the congressional level, because it's going to be huge, the impact of these programs. They go away. Anybody have any questions? Yeah.
Can you put like contacts in an email, maybe as a follow-up to this meeting?
Put it in the email? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I can send it out to the military community, the distribution. Yeah, absolutely. Happy to do that.
Thomas Renner wrote in the chat to encourage everyone in other states to also contact the Codell.
Yeah. So one of the things I'm doing is I've reached out to all the other 23 states, and I said, if we could do kind of like a coordinated effort. And I just came up with a simple template of them to tell them when they started with the program, how much they requested, and what they use their funding for. I've gotten about 11 or 12 back, so I still need a lot more states to send me. And that is exactly what we're doing, is if we get this together, then I'm going to send this to the Codell and hopefully to say, okay, this is what you asked for, this is what we've been doing, what's the next step? Yes.
And have that information from other states, is it okay to also share it publicly? For example, is something that we could share with our contacts in other states to help make that?
Yeah, I can't share other states just because of the fiscal piece of it, but I can certainly share who they are, Arizona, California, and so forth. Oh, absolutely, I can share that. Yeah, definitely. Any other questions, comments? Yeah.
Is there anything central, like a Facebook group or something that it's just easy to invite people to share updates?
Yeah, so we've been pretty active on our Facebook pages because for that very reason. So if you go to the Vermont National Guard Family Programs website, there's a connection on the website to all of our Facebook pages and our Instagram. This is Vermont National Guard Family Programs is the Facebook, and then Vermont Veterans Outreach has a page. Child and Youth has a page, and so forth and so on. So, and MIPers, Military Family Readiness Specialist, also has a page. So you can find that on the website, or if you go do a search for Vermont National Guard Family Programs, it'll come right up.
Yeah. We also have some Vermont Veterans Outreach page, and I think we have a green page as well. I'm not all familiar with Facebook, but I think we got two. One is a group and one is official. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, that's right. They have two, that's right. They have one night as a group.
People
Yeah.
complain about whatever.
Okay.
We limit that one there is totally free speech. The other one, not so much.
I will include the Facebook pages with the meeting minutes.
Thank you.
So everyone has it and can start following their social media.
Thank you. So, like I said, we've gotten funding since 2007, so it's been quite a shock to be dealing with this, but hopefully we can make something happen. And yeah, thank you all very much for your support. Anything else?
So for they can still access the toll-free number, though, right? Your
The
understanding,
888 number?
Jim,
Yes.
that will still
Yeah,
remain?
that's one of we have an 888 number that we established in 2008, and it's still going, 888
607
607.
8773.
I know the number,
Oh,
Andre.
I thought you were struggling.
No, I wanted to give people time to write down. 888 607 8773. Hey, do we have any community updates from the field, from here? Anybody want to? Yeah, Joe, come on down.
So for those who don't know me, I'm Joe Gilman. I'm actually the veteran dental coordinator for the Veterans Outreach Team. The dental program is a very small piece of the outreach team that was established in the fall of 23 through a $100,000 grant by Northeast Delta Dental. And since the fall of 23, we now have 5 dental groups on board that we provide $1,000, as of this year, $1,000 grant to those veterans that are uninsured. There is an application process. Just prior to all this happening, we did get the Plainfield Dental Group on board, which is Plainfield Dental and the Berry Clinic. And we awarded them a grant. So with that being said, we had a meeting with Northeast Delta Dental when they found out what was going on. Miriam, Andre, and myself had a meeting with the leadership at Delta Dental, and they said, well, this can't happen. We can't lose this piece of the program that has quite literally become very successful within the state.
In a short amount of time.
In a very short amount of time. So I guess the good news of all of this, that yesterday I signed a consulting agreement with Delta Dental, and I will be able to continue the program. And the agreement is also with the caveat that should the funding become back available for the Veterans Outreach, the consulting agreement will terminate with Delta Dental and it will become part of the outreach team again. But we are so lucky that Delta Dental is staying on board with this, and that we're not losing this $100,000 to provide dental care to our uninsured veterans. As with the whole outreach, the impact that many of the veterans that have had dental care since the fall of 23 has just been incredible. Andre's heard all the stories. I'm sure Miriam has, and I've had a few recently as well. So, but that's the good, really good news as far as the piece of this goes. So there'll be more coming out. For those who have been independent contractors, there's going to have to be a few changes that are made, and that's I'll get different flyers out and provide a little bit more information on how this is going to work. But hopefully it won't take too long for the funding to get taken care of and we can get it back where it belongs. But anyhow, I just wanted everyone to know that this is one part of the program that's going to stay in place. So Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. That's wonderful news.
It is.
So I just wanted to add to that, the thing is why this program is so amazing. Veterans, veterans do not receive dental benefits unless they have a 100% service-connected disability. So there's a lot of veterans that need oral care and wouldn't be getting it if it were not for Joe and his work and the outreach team. We all know how critical oral care is to overall health. The stories I've read from veterans who have been able to take advantage of this has been, incredible. I was able to get work done, and then I didn't have to use the money for food like I would have normally done. It's just really, and these locations that are federally qualified health centers that provide the dental services. So we're talking again in the very rural areas of Vermont, and being able to smile and be happy about being able to get dental care can't be overstated. So thank you, Joe, for pursuing that.
Are there any other updates from the field?
Make mine quick.
Are you saying I was too long?
No,
Okay.
I'm sure people want to go home. The last thing they want to see is me. Hi, everybody. My name's Evan Brown. I'm a military family readiness specialist with family programs. One kind of passion project of mine that I've been working on as part of this job is Military Kids Vermont. And what we do is we provide opportunities for military families to go do something fun. I told you it was going to be lighter. As a family, or something fun for the kids to do. And we have a pretty exciting slate of events for this summer that I just want to have people be aware of. The most pressing one is we are going to be going to Thunder Road in about 2 weeks. Registration for that is going to be closing very soon. If it hasn't already, if that is something that isn't necessarily up to your particular speed, we also are going to be going to the Vermont Lake Monsters in July. July 17th, thank you. And then August 16th, yes, August 16th, we will be going to Devil's Bowl Speedway in Fairhaven. So these are free events for people to bring their kids to. They can hang out with other military kids who understand what it's like to grow up in a military household. Something as a now adult military child I wish I had, 20, 30 years ago. But so it's a passion of mine to make this a reality for the kids of today. So if you have any questions, just reach out. You can follow us on Facebook. That's where we're posting all of our registration links and our flyers. And you can email us at militarykidsvermont@gmail.com, I believe is that email address, but I will double check that. And I will give it to Marcy so she can send it out as part of the minutes. Thanks.
Thank you, Evan. It's going to be a busy summer.
Very
Lots
busy.
of great
It's gonna be a
stuff.
lot of fun.
I was hoping Richard was here to talk about National Night Out is August 5th, and I know that it's celebrated in multiple locations throughout the state, but I know Rutland does a phenomenal job. Pardon? John, are you by chance on the call still?
He had to go off at 11.
Okay, all right.
Training.
So I will ask Richard or John about a flyer for National Night Out, but that is August 5th. Any other announcements, upcoming workshops, activities that, yes, Brittany.
Just to kind of throw in with the kids stuff, since it's
Come this
summer
way.
and all the kids actually,
Just so they can hear you.
gotta get up to the mic.
Oh, man. I just kind of wanted to talk about some of the activities that military programs, just throughout military programs that's going on for summer. So the Blue Star Network has their museums that are open, are free now because it's the summer. So it's Memorial Day through Labor Day. So ECHO always participates in that, and many of the state museums. So the military kids and their families have free admission to those museums during the summer. So that's a lot of activities if your kids are at home. And just the virtual camps that I know are through the child and youth programs are out. So people make sure that they're downloading those. And then there's then the Purple Upfitter virtual camps as well that are free and accessible for military families. And then just trying to think of anything else for families this summer that are free or inexpensive. If you're traveling and you know anybody who is traveling with military and they're part of the military, remember to remind them or guide them to MWR where they can rent things and take them out of state. So if you happen to be in MWR in Massachusetts and you're going up to Maine for travel, you can always rent those and take them with you. Just so you know, everybody's traveling and doing things this summer, and those are great ways to save money. So just want to throw that out there.
Thank you. And Brittany, if you could send me an email blurb about those things, I will include those in the minutes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any other announcements? Yes, Misha. Hello. Please come forward. It has been a while. So good to see you.
Yeah. So.
Is it a robot that does it? That's cool. So Vermont Adaptive Vermont Adaptive Skiing Sports. My name's Misha. I run the veterans programs. I've been doing it 8.5 years now. And just this fiscal year, we've gotten 185 individual vets out with us, about 1,300 individual activities and 5 multi-day retreats. And so we have about 5 more months of programs that are 100% free to veteran service members if they want to come join us. This week we have equine therapy down in Tassville. Next week we have fishing, golfing, pickleball, and mountain biking starting up soon. Outdoor rock climbing we did last week, paddling I did yesterday out on Lake Champlain. So we're doing about 2 to 3 programs a week, and it's free to the members. So, yeah. And we're at vermontadaptive.org. You can find the flyer with all of my dates for veteran programs.
Awesome. Are your instructors who teach like fishing and rock climbing and stuff, are they volunteers or are they paid staff?
So we have 15 paid staff. That covers the whole state of Vermont. Our headquarters is Pico Mountain, Sugar Bush, Bolton Valley, Burlington Sailing Center. We have 2 fully accessible facilities that we have built in the state of Vermont, one at Pico Mountain, one at Sugar Bush. And we have about 500 volunteers that are actively signed up with us. We train them up to whichever modality of equipment we're going to use. If somebody who's blind, has a spinal cord injury, ALS, Parkinson's, we could get people out. And so they're all trained on the specialized equipment. We have some volunteers that have been with us 30 years, have been working with people with disabilities.
Thank you. They does amazing work. In the minutes, I'll make sure to include the website and the upcoming activities that they have. All right. Any other announcements? Fantastic. Well, I want to thank everybody for being here in person and on the call. A lot of great information. Friendly reminder to fill out the after action report. For those of you on the call, it will be in the minutes. There will be a SurveyMonkey link for you to fill it out. Please, please, please fill it out. Give me as much feedback as possible, because that feedback, we like to turn it around and improve this opportunity. Everyone in the room, if you wouldn't mind helping to stack chairs or move tables, if you could give me a couple moments to help me do that, that would be greatly appreciated. And the next meeting is Wednesday, October 8th. So we have a break. I hope everyone has a wonderful summer, intro into the fall time. Hope to see you all then. If not, Miriam will be here. And the topic is going, so it's a familiar face, Miriam will be here. And the topic is going to be Veteran Support Services. So if you want to present and haven't in a while, let us know. Take care, everybody. Be well.
I was just gonna say.
Be well.